Have you ever left a conversation with a friend feeling drained, confused, or even doubting your own reality? Or maybe you've shared good news, only to be met with a smile that just didn't quite reach their eyes. If so, one of your friends might be, even unconsciously, working to ruin your life. This isn't paranoia, it's a pattern. 5 centuries ago, the political strategist Niccolò Machiavelli wrote the ultimate guide to power. It wasn't just for kings and queens, but for anyone trying to survive in a world of shifting alliances and hidden agendas. His work wasn't about being evil. It was about understanding the harsh mechanics of human nature so you wouldn't become a victim of it. Though he focused on the state, his ideas shed a timeless, brutal light on our personal relationships. He knew that loyalty is often conditional, and that the biggest threats rarely come from declared enemies, but from those standing right next to you. Now, Machiavelli never wrote a chapter on toxic friends. But if we apply his cold, hard lens to our modern social circles, 3 destructive archetypes emerge. These are modern interpretations of his timeless warnings. 3 types of friends who pretend to be loyal while quietly sowing destruction. They are the flatterer who wants your life, the crisis architect who feeds on your pain, and the saboteur who whispers your secrets. One of them is probably in your life right now. So, let's dissect these 3 archetypes, show you the Machiavellian-inspired tests to expose them, and give you the strategy to cut them out before it's too late. The first friend who will ruin you, the flatterer. The first and most deceptive friend a Machiavellian worldview warns against is the flatterer, or, as we might call them, the sycophant. This is the friend who showers you with endless praise, agrees with everything you say, and makes you feel like the most brilliant person in the room. It feels good. Dangerously good. Machiavelli wrote about this exact problem in chapter 23 of The Prince, calling flatterers a plague that is hard to avoid because we're so easily deceived by what we want to hear. But a modern analysis shows a motive far more sinister than just ego stroking. The flatterer isn't trying to lift you up. They're studying you. Their praise is a weapon. Their whole personality is a mask. They mirror your opinions, copy your mannerisms, and celebrate your smallest wins with theatrical flair. They will never challenge your ideas or offer real criticism, because their goal isn't your growth, it's your stagnation. While you're busy soaking up their praise, you become complacent. You stop pushing yourself, you stop seeing your own flaws, and you stop evolving. You're a king being told his invisible clothes are beautiful. But what's the end game? The flatterer doesn't just admire you. They want to be you. They walk in your shadow, learning your strengths, and more importantly, your weaknesses. They see your life, your success, your relationships, not as something to celebrate, but as something to possess. They are the understudy, just waiting for the lead actor to fall. They praise you in public to gain your trust, but in private, their mind is a ledger, calculating how your success makes them feel small. This envy is silent, but it's corrosive. It's the engine driving their behavior. A classic example is the friend who, after you hit a major goal, says something like, "You're a genius. I could never do what you do. Everything you touch turns to gold." It sounds like a huge compliment, but it's a subtle act of separation. They're putting you on a pedestal to frame your success as an unobtainable, almost magical thing. This protects their ego and, at the same time, ensures you see them as your most loyal, non-threatening fan. They are learning your playbook, not to support you, but to one day run your plays better than you. The praise is just data collection, and once they have what they need, you'll find their friendship has expired. The second friend who will ruin you, the crisis architect. The second archetype, viewed through a Machiavellian lens, is the crisis architect. This is the friend whose life is a constant stream of chaos, emergencies, and emotional turmoil. And you are their permanent first responder. At first, this relationship feels good in a different way. You're the strong one, the stable one, the savior. They need you. They call you at all hours, relying on you to solve their problems, absorb their complaints, and calm their anxieties. You become their emotional landfill, and you take it all because you think you're being a good friend. But the Machiavellian perspective reveals the sinister power dynamic at work. The crisis architect doesn't just have crises, they manufacture them. They are addicted to the attention and energy that drama provides. And here's the dead giveaway. They seem to feed on your pain. When you're doing well, they might seem distant or bored. But the moment you face a setback, they spring to life. They're suddenly energized, full of advice, and have all the time in the world for you. This is because your struggle reaffirms their role. It puts you back on their level, or even below them, allowing them to become the wise advisor. They'll say things like, "I had a feeling this was going to happen," subtly positioning themselves as having seen your downfall coming. This isn't empathy, it's a power play. Your crisis becomes their stage, and your pain becomes their fuel. Think of the friend who dominates every single conversation with their latest disaster. You spend hours counseling them and offering solutions, but when you try to share something, especially good news, the conversation quickly pivots back to them. They might offer a quick, "That's great," before launching into their next monologue of misery. Machiavelli understood that dependency is a form of control. The crisis architect keeps you tied to them by making you feel responsible for their well-being. They drain your time, your energy, and your focus. You're so busy putting out their fires that you have no fuel left to build your own empire. They don't want you to succeed because a strong, independent you has no need for them. Their survival depends on your exhaustion. They aren't your friend. They are a parasite, and your life force is what they feed on. The third and most dangerous friend, the saboteur. The final and most dangerous archetype is the saboteur, the covert competitor who whispers your secrets with a smile. Machiavelli was clear that hidden enemies are far more dangerous than open ones, and the saboteur is the modern embodiment of this principle. This is the friend who appears to be your biggest supporter, but is secretly working against you. Unlike the flatterer, the saboteur's support feels real. They give you advice, listen to your dreams, and know your deepest insecurities. They use that trust as their primary weapon. This is the person who keeps their friends close and their enemies closer. And make no mistake, in their mind, you are both. Their methods are subtle, almost impossible to prove. They are masters of plausible deniability. They'll share your secrets, but frame it as seeking advice on your behalf. They might say, "I'm just so worried about your name. They told me they're struggling with your secret, and I just don't know how to help." It looks like concern, but the real intent is to damage your reputation under the guise of caring. They are also masters of the backhanded compliment. After a big presentation, they might say, "You were so confident up there. I was surprised, since you're usually so nervous about public speaking." The first part praises you, but the second reminds everyone of your weakness, planting a seed of doubt. They subtly undermine your successes and highlight your failures, all while wearing the mask of a loyal friend. A classic saboteur move is giving concerned advice that's actually designed to create doubt. Let's say you're about to take a big career risk. The saboteur will say, "You know I support you completely. But are you sure this is the right time? With the market so unstable, I just don't want to see you get hurt." The words sound supportive, but the emotional subtext is pure fear. They're projecting their own insecurities onto you, hoping to keep you stagnant and safely at their level. Machiavelli warned that betrayal often comes from those whose interests have shifted. The saboteur sees your life as a zero-sum game. Your success is their failure. They compete with you silently, gathering information and waiting for the perfect moment to use it against you. This betrayal is the most painful because it comes from a place you thought was safe. They use your own vulnerability as a dagger, and by the time you feel it, the damage is already done. The Machiavellian tests: how to expose them. Recognizing these archetypes is the first step, but clever manipulators hide their true motives well. To see them clearly, you can't rely on their words. You have to test their actions. Inspired by Machiavelli's philosophy, you must create pressure to see if the mask falls. These aren't cruel games. They are strategic tests of character. First, the good news trap. This is the simplest, most effective test. The next time you have a real achievement, a promotion, a new relationship, a personal win, share it with the suspected friend. Then, go silent and just watch. Do they ask follow-up questions? Do they celebrate with genuine energy? Or do they quickly pivot the conversation back to themselves? A saboteur or crisis architect will often hijack the conversation. A flatterer's praise will feel hollow and for show. Envy is a silent emotion, but it screams in the absence of genuine joy for others. Second is the information diet. This test is designed to expose a saboteur, intentionally hold back a key piece of information from them, and see how they react. A gossip and a saboteur thrive on information. It's their currency. When you starve them, they get anxious and start probing. For a more advanced version, give them a piece of harmless, fake info and see if it spreads. If your secret plan to move across the country makes its way back to you, you've found your leak. Third, the no audit. Fake friends, especially the crisis architect, see you as a resource. Your value is based on what you provide. This test shatters that illusion with one simple word: no. The next time they ask for a big favor or try to dump their drama on you, politely but firmly decline. "I can't help with that right now." Then watch. A real friend respects your boundaries. A parasite will act as if they've been attacked. They'll try guilt-tripping you or questioning your loyalty, proving the friendship was transactional all along. Finally, the coldest and most definitive test, the silent audit. This is a powerful move to test loyalty without saying a word. Vanish, not in an angry, dramatic way, but strategically. Pull back your communication. Stop initiating contact. Become genuinely busy and scarce. The results are fast, and they are crystal clear. Real friends will notice your absence and reach out with real concern. Fake friends will only notice that their resource is gone. The crisis architect will panic. The saboteur might be relieved you're out of the picture. The flatterer will just find a new target. This test can be tough, but it's final. It reveals who was there for you and who was just there for what you could do for them. The art of the silent execution. Cutting them off. Once you've identified a toxic person in your life, the natural urge is to confront them. You want to lay out all the evidence, make them see the hurt they've caused, and get that apology. From a Machiavellian standpoint, this is a huge mistake. An emotional confrontation is the manipulator's home turf. They will twist your words, gaslight you, and paint themselves as the victim. You'll walk away more confused and wounded than before. You don't owe them a confrontation. You don't owe them an explanation. You owe yourself liberation. The Machiavellian approach is not a loud war, but a silent execution. The first strategy is the gray rock method. You become the most boring person on earth. When they try to start drama, you give them nothing. Your responses become short, uninteresting, and emotionally flat. I see. Okay. Maybe. You don't offer opinions. You don't share stories. You don't react. A manipulator feeds on emotional reactions. When you offer none, they starve. They'll poke and prod, but eventually they'll get bored and move on to an easier source of energy. You don't end the friendship. You let it wither and die from neglect. The final act is the silent execution. There is no dramatic exit, no tearful phone call, no long breakup text. There is only absence. You stop replying. You get busy. You create space, and then you make that space permanent. It is a slow fade into nothingness. Fake friends don't fear your anger. They fear your absence. They fear losing the benefits of your friendship, your energy, your status, your support. The silence and the void you leave are far more powerful than any angry words you could ever say. It sends a clear message. They are no longer relevant. Their game is over, and you have moved on. Machiavelli taught that the path to survival is paved with cold, hard clarity. It requires you to set aside the need to be liked, and instead rely on evidence and observation. Applying his ideas, we can see these friends for what they are. The flatterer who keeps you complacent, the crisis architect who drains your spirit, and the saboteur who operates in the shadows are not just bad friends. They are strategic liabilities. They are anchors, holding you to a version of yourself you are trying to outgrow. Recognizing these patterns isn't cynicism. It's profound self-preservation. It's understanding that the people you allow into your inner circle will either build you up or tear you down. True friends, the rare ones, don't flatter you, depend on you, or secretly compete with you. They challenge you. They tell you the hard truths, and they want you to win, even if you surpass them. They are the advisors Machiavelli urged leaders to keep, the ones given freedom to speak the truth without fear. Cutting ties isn't cruelty, it's strategy. You aren't just removing a person, you're reclaiming your energy, protecting your future, and clearing the path for your own rise. In the end, as Machiavelli would argue, you have a duty to protect your own state, and your mind, your energy, and your future are the most valuable territory you will ever govern. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever encountered one of these 3 archetypes in your life? The flatterer, the crisis architect, or the saboteur? Share your experience in the comments below. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to finally make a change. And if this gave you a new lens to see your relationships, make sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the psychology of power, influence, and self-mastery.